Greetings, and welcome to my channel. I'm the Anunnaki Theorist. Today, I'm going to finalize something that I was talking about in the last two videos. And I promise you, this is the last one, because this is not really part of the Anunnaki theory. In a way, when we get into Thoth and the Ascended Masters and things like that, yes and no, but for the most part, this is just, my personal belief and, what I think the meaning of life is all about. So, as the title states, this is going to be talking about the Akashic Record. Now, what is the Akashic Record? Of course, Wikipedia. So, in a nutshell, the Akashic Record, which, by the way, has gone by several other names. There are some that will call it the 0-point energy field. And then those of the religious beliefs will call it the Book of Life. So it's supposed to be where, knowledge and events and thoughts and things like that are all stored. So if you see where I'm going with this from the previous videos, the meaning of life is to experience and to experience everything. But once you've experienced things and you die, where does all that experience go? It goes to the Akashic Record. Now, everything has to be experienced. And not only can you not experience everything in one lifetime, you can't experience everything in just one universe. So the Great Spark not only created our universe, but more than likely created all the other universes, all the other possible timelines. Let me give you an example. In our universe, we have had roughly about 1,000 years worth of scientific repression. Roughly 1,000 years ago, you had the church that if something was not seen to be of God, then it was of the devil. So a scientific discovery or a new theory that was proposed, if it wasn't godly, then it was of the devil. And at the very least, this theory, this new discovery, would be quashed. And at the very worst, the individual that came up with it would be executed. It wasn't the worst case scenario, but Galileo, his ideas, his theories and everything like that were just way too extreme for the church, and it went against everything that they taught. And so poor Galileo wound up on house arrest, but he never recanted. So anyway, when you die, and we have documented cases where people have had near-death experiences where they've not completely died. I mean, yes, they lost all vital functions and things, and they may have exited the body, which you can do without dying. When you get into out-of-body experiences, when you get into astral travel and things like this, your spirit, your consciousness, whatever, leaves the body and travels, and you're not dead. So you have this disconnection of the soul or the consciousness from the body, and they actually journey to wherever, whatever plane, whatever dimension. And Thoth talks about this. He calls it the halls of Amenti. So wherever that is, you travel to it. And these individuals that have had these near-death experiences, they said that, they start to perceive their life flash before their eyes. Well, it's not really their eyes. They don't have any at that point, but it's a perception. But they start seeing the events of their life. And this is where they have started the upload. They've started to upload the experiences of their life to the Akashic record. Now, of course, they're not dead. The body hasn't completely expired. And one of the things that we have to understand is, and this is kind of one of the reasons why Jesus was dead for 3 days. Because it's always been, you're not dead until you're warm and dead. Okay? Usually 3 days is the time that is allotted, because you have some people that, they have rare conditions to where, their heart rate will drop to almost nothing, and they just go into some sort of a torpor. It seems almost as if they're dead, but they're not. So to keep that from happening, you've got this 3-day, usually, time span before they actually go ahead and declare you completely dead, and they go through and do whatever to, get you ready for burial or cremation or however you want to go out. But anytime during that period, especially if you are going to be declared dead, you start your upload to the Akashic record. Now, we can call the Akashic record in modern day terms as the cosmic cloud. Okay, we have the cloud today where you upload all your videos and things like that, and it's shared to the entire world. That's kind of like what the Akashic record is. Now, there are some individuals that can actually access the Akashic record if you have the ability to basically enter a higher state of consciousness. Now, we see here on this Wikipedia page, we've got, Edgar Cayce, who's the sleeping prophet, that supposedly could access the Akashic record. More modern day example is Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs, he was into the drug culture, so he did a lot of psychedelics, LSD and whatnot. And he actually gave credit for his creation of Apple from his drug use, from his journeys, and being able to read the Akashic record while he was on one of his drug trips. Now, like I said, multiple universes. This would have been in our future when he actually, thought of this. But in another universe where they didn't have the 1,000+ years of scientific repression, that actually might have been old school technology. The idea of Apple computing, and then of course you break out into the cell phones and the tablets and things like that. So all this technology that he was seeing would have been a future experience that someone had that was dropped off into the Akashic record from another universe. There's the possibility that he could actually have been seeing into his future. Because, when we look at the idea that everything is preordained, then his future was already set fate-wise. It could still be changed, but if it's not changed, then it would be seen as his future, and he just brought back that information and put it into the present. So that's the Akashic record. Now, I made a promise back in my hell video. I said that there was a reconciliation that you had to undergo in order to get yourself out of the state of hell. And I think you can kind of see where I'm going with this. The reconciliation is actually the realization that the things that you experienced where you felt guilt, shame, regret, remorse was not good or bad. It wasn't good or evil. It was just experience. And once you realize that, if you are in the state of hell, once you realize that everything was just experience, you pull yourself back up out of the state of hell and you continue with your upload. Now, there's a way to stop yourself from even going into the state of hell. And that's by living with the knowing that everything is experience. For me, I live by two philosophies. The first one is that everything happens for a reason. No matter what it is, good or bad, everything happens for a reason. And it's because of the blueprint. It's because of the cosmic plan. Everything is preordained. And it is also because of synchronicity. We are all connected. Something that you do, and it might seem like a minor thing, or it could be a major thing. It's like, say, you're out and about and you have some money in your wallet, and for some reason that money falls out. You know, you've just lost a $20 bill. And of course, you'd probably, be on the concern side, kind of worried, whatever. But the thing is that money needed to go to somebody else that actually needed it. Prime example of this. When I was growing up, my parents weren't well off at all. I mean, there were times to where they had to make a decision between buying food or paying rent. Which one are you going to do? So there were times where we didn't even know if we were going to eat. My father had ferreted away something like, I don't know, it was $5 or $7, and he was going to go to the store. He took his motorcycle, which doesn't use a lot in the way of fuel. So he took his motorcycle to the store, and he was going to pick up, some soup, something little, something that wasn't going to be that expensive. And when he got into the parking lot, he had to jump off his bike real quick, because just at that moment, a $20 bill kind of floated right beside him, and he had to use his foot to stomp on it to keep it from blowing away. So he parked the bike, picked up the 20, walked a few steps, and there was a $5 bill. So he had over $30 that he could purchase bread and other things that would help us survive. This is synchronicity. This is where everything is connected. And because of that, I am a strong believer in everything happens for a reason. Now, the second thing that I live by is everything is experience. I live that way, regardless of what happens to me. And those that know me knows that a lot of bad things, quote-unquote bad things, have happened to me. And regardless of what it is, that's the first thing that pops out of my mouth. Well, two things. Everything happens for a reason, and this is experience. Everything has to be experienced, so everything you do is the experience that you are supposed to have. But that's the Akashic record. That's the cosmic cloud, to where all of our experiences that we're supposed to have gets uploaded after we die. And then of course after your upload is completed, then you await for the next available vessel, unless of course you're an ascended, and then you're reborn and you get more experience. And the cycle continues. Even those that are ascended, they still, they can't really experience while you're in the ethereal. You have to be in the flesh in order to experience. So they will eventually take on the flesh, but it's not necessarily here on Earth, because this is all over the universe and multiple universes. And that's the good thing about being an ascended, is because you don't actually have to stay here. You can go someplace else. But I'm going to keep this video short. My others have been quite long, and this one doesn't have a whole lot. My next video will be pretty nice. I'll be getting back into the Anunnaki theory. So yeah, this is just again, it's an alternate explanation. It's not truth, it's not fact. We don't have any scientific proof or even evidence of the Akashic record, except for those individuals that have supposedly touched it, read it, and brought this information back. But I hope I've been able to be informative. I'm the Anunnaki Theorist. Enjoy.